Greetings, Terrarians. Khaios here. Welcome to the second Commenter Day. I'm sorry that it's a day late. I know I said it's going to be on the first Saturday of every month, and that is the goal. However, a bunch of stuff came up, and it just pushed me back a day on my schedule. So I do apologize for that. Nothing too major, and we're going to get straight into it. Today's request is actually two-part. I felt that these two kind of fit together and would work pretty well as a build. The first request was for a steampunk build by Reverse Evolve, and the second request that I chose is for a mechanical tower by Helvet X. And I just thought that these two themes would fit together pretty well, so that's what I'm going with. I'm starting off in T-Edit just to do some landscaping. I know that I want the tower to be on a floating island, and I know that I want it to be over a small pond or body of water or lake, whatever you want to call it. And just to save me time, I'm just knocking that part of the process out really quickly in T-Edit. Now, you might notice that I have something new on my UI, and I'm just trying out the cheat sheet mod. Normally, I'm not really huge into things like this, but I'm always looking for something to just try and save me some time, and a lot of you guys in the comment section keep requesting or recommending that I try out cheat sheet. So here we go. I'm giving it a try, and to be honest, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't use the features like copy paste or the paint tool or whatever on it in this build, but I do love it as an inventory editor. The God mode is helpful as well, and at some point in the build I actually got a slime rain and just kind of used that to help me get rid of the slimes pretty quickly. But I am enjoying it. So as far as the build goes, I'm going to try and do something a little bit different. The stone pillars that I have are made out of palladium column with gray paint, but on the inside of that I have some living rich mahogany painted gray as well, just to give it a little bit of a different texture without going to that stone brick shape that I tend to default to. Just wanted to squeeze in something a little bit different for this steampunk build. So I'm building a crane that's going to be used, well, not really used, but that's meant to look like it's used to lift supplies from the dock below it. And I'm just going to put a little bit of supplies beneath it and a little bit of a kind of wooden and stone or metal lift. The sticks that I'm putting into the bottom of the rock are actually going to be fans. Normally, I'd like to just have the floating islands just floating as they're on their own, or floating on top of clouds, because that's more of the fantasy style that I tend to build. Since this is a steampunk style, I thought it'd be fun to just put a bunch of fans here. I toyed around with making them thick. I wasn't quite happy with them, so I knocked them back and just made the fans a bit thinner. Steampunk isn't something that I do all too often. In fact, I think I've only done one steampunk build ever, and that was the Steampunker house. It was a hot air balloon for my NPC showcase, and I really haven't done much in the steampunk style since then. Though, to be honest, I absolutely love the style. It's just not something I do very often in Terraria. So I'm really enjoying this as a challenge. I know that I want to add a bunch of pipes and whatnot, and right now what I'm working on is adding the boiler. I started to notice things are looking a little too gray for my tastes. I mean, it's really, really gray right now. So I decided to try and slap some deep orange paint or orange paint, or just remove the paint on the pipes, which are made out of Dynasty wood. I ended up going with some deep orange just to kind of give it a more rusted look. And I'm also going to be removing some of the paint from some of the copper supports and stuff like that, just to give a little bit more color to the build. Now, I do want the propellers to spin, and I want them to spin on their own. So what I made here is just a small little engine. You flip the lever, and it shoots one spear trap. And when the spear trap returns to the bottom, it hits a pressure plate that shoots a second spear trap. And inside this little tube of water that we have here are some more pressure plates. And when you activate it, it just makes these fans start spinning. It might look a little too fast in the time lapse, but you will see it at the pan at the end. I am going to just shut off the engine for now, and I'll turn it on when we do the final look of the build. So above the water storage area in the boiler room is the boiler itself. I'm just going to make something with some living flames. I do put a pile of copper coins painted black because I've seen other builders use the technique to mimic coal, and I've also used it as coal decoration myself. In hindsight, you can't really see it against the stone walls, so perhaps I should have used a little bit different material there, but this is what we ended up with. But there is coal there, technically. The bubble machine is to help make the water look like it's boiling. Not quite. I mean, the bubbles burst without really affecting the water, and they're colored, but I'm just working with what we've got. Off to the side of the tower, I'm building a kind of dock that may be used for airships. I ran out of time. I wanted to do a hot air balloon airship, but I already spent 3 hours on this build, and usually I try to limit the commenter day builds to around 2 hours, so I just didn't do the hot air balloon. Underneath the dock, as well as the room that I started to do to the right, I am adding a little bit more fans just to make it look like there's a little bit more support keeping this floating structure and island up in the air. For the roof, I thought I'd go for something kind of Victorian looking. It's a roof style that I'll cover in a future build tip video, but you might have seen me do it in my haunted house build. And I don't know, I just think that Victorian style roofing and architecture looks pretty accurate for the steampunk feel. So I thought that it might be a pretty good roof to go with for this kind of tower. Since the bottom half of the tower was stone, I wanted to make sure that I had some wood in there just to change things up. And I am doing the patchwork wood design just to kind of roughen it up. When I think steampunk, I don't think of anything being precisely clean and perfect. I think of a lot of rugged and old, deteriorated kind of structures and things like that. And so I thought that the patchwork wood might look good with it. I thought that I might want to add some fans to the side, or propellers rather, to the side, just to make it seem like a means of keeping the building from floating to the left or the right. Obviously, this is Terraria, physics doesn't apply, it's not going to go anywhere. I just wanted to give it the appearance that it has a means of traveling to the left or the right if it wanted to. The tower itself is going to be made out of stone, and I decided to go ahead and put a vertical beam down the center because I wanted to do a spiral staircase going straight up the tower. Now I'm just throwing around some more pipes for where the water, the steam might travel to power the propellers and electricity and what have you. And I'm also going to throw down some furniture, steampunk furniture specifically, just to kind of liven up the build a little bit more. It's all in all a rather large build, but really there's not a whole lot of space to work with it because there's a bunch of pipes and whatnot, so there's not a whole lot of furniture. Now I'm just going back to T-Edit for one quick thing. I'm grabbing a furniture cropped chimneys because I want to have steam coming out of this, and I want the steam to look like smoke particles. It's the only thing I'm going to furniture crop, but that's what I really wanted to do. And that is the Steampunk Mechanical Tower done. I thank Reverse Evolve and Helvet X for giving me the request for this build. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to leave a comment to request what you would like to see in next month's commenter day. I'll catch you all later. Happy building.